Hello, Morongo Basin, and listeners around the world online at Z107.7 FM.com. Here is the Z107.7 Local News for Wednesday, January 21st, 2026. A man being booked into the Morongo Basin Jail was allegedly found to be in possession of methamphetamine and fentanyl for the purposes of sale. On Thursday at around 1:38 a.m., San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputies conducted a traffic stop on a vehicle near the intersection of 29 Palms Highway and Bon Air Road in Joshua Tree. The vehicle was stopped for multiple code violations. Deputies identified the driver as Daniel Rosamond, a 51-year-old resident of Joshua Tree. Deputies say Rosamond consented to a search, during which he was found with fentanyl and drug paraphernalia. Due to prior convictions, Rosamond was taken into custody. Deputies say a passenger was also found to be in possession of drug paraphernalia and was cited and released at the scene. Rosamond was taken to the Morongo Basin Jail for booking. Deputies say that during a secondary search, they found a large quantity of methamphetamine and additional fentanyl, indicative of the possession for sales. Daniel Rosamond was booked for investigation into possession of a controlled substance for sale and smuggling a controlled substance into jail. He is being held at the West Valley Detention Center without bail. Another earthquake originating north of Indio was felt by high desert residents early this morning at around 12:30 a.m. A magnitude 4.2 earthquake occurred approximately 20 miles north of Indio in the Indio Hills near the southern border of Joshua Tree National Park. The shaker occurred just over 4 kilometers under the Earth's crust. There were reports on social media of residents in Joshua Tree, Yucca Valley, 29 Palms, and Landers feeling the brief shake. This is the second earthquake over magnitude 4.0 since the 4.9 earthquake that shook the same area on Monday evening. The Yucca Valley Town Council came together last night for their first meeting of the year, and online news editor Robert Hayden has the recap.
The regular meeting began with a short introduction to the new county sheriff's captain, Steve Scoville, who's been with the department for 28 and a half years, including 16 years in the bomb squad in the city of San Bernardino and 3 years in Ukiah. Scoville had some nice words for our local station.
It's very well known in our department that the Morongo station is one of the jewels in the county, one of the greatest places to work. A lot of young kids out here working hard, getting her done for the community out here.
A presentation from Southern California Edison's Government Affairs Manager Shane Massoud highlighted some of the work that the public utility has been doing in Yucca Valley. Out of the 7 circuits that serve the Morongo Basin, the Campanula circuit was specifically called out by Massoud as one they're working on due to the continued outages on the mesa. The SCE rep acknowledged that the high-risk fire area had more outages than others, and they're working on the resiliency of the power in that area. Deputy Town Manager Shane Stuckel then presented the Yucca Valley Animal Shelter's new microchip program, which will establish a no-fee microchipping service for Yucca Valley residents' dogs and cats. If you're not a resident of Yucca Valley, the service will only cost $5. Stuckel anticipates a March start to the program. Microchipping a dog or cat allows the pet's owner's information to be scanned so they can be returned to the owner quicker, hopefully reducing the turnaround for a lost pet and the animal shelter's population. Some of the town's medians will become a little brighter with the approval of an $85,000 town-wide beautification project that will see native plants and landscaping installed along the intersections of Highway 62 and Sage, Dumosa, and Kickapoo, as well as the busy junction of Highway 62 and 247. Here's something nice for map nerds like me. A presentation by senior planner Jared Jerome went over the new short-term rental GIS map put together by town staff. Assistant planner Evan Willoughby was specifically mentioned. Residents can now search by address or parcel number and get information on any short-term rental, including their 24-hour contact and permit status. Deputy Town Manager Shane Stuckel also addressed common complaints from STRs, which he says is usually parking and trash related during the slower months. However, summer means more partiers and more complaints from neighbors, and Stuckel says town staff is looking at ways to address those complaints so that the property owner takes the no party rule more seriously. Town Manager Curtis Yakima gave an update to the town's strategic plan, and Councilmember Rick Dennison requested a review of the town's lighting policy for a future agenda item. You can find a longer version of this story on our website, along with links to everything mentioned. That's all at Z107.7 FM.com. Reporting for Z107.7 News, I'm Robert Hayden.
The 29 Palms Planning Commission met last night and they studied land use expiration dates. Annalise Kuiper brings us details.
During the first study session, the commissioners discussed land use approval expiration dates and whether the expiration of the business license as the hard date on which land use approval expires is satisfactory. Community Development Director Keith Gardner informed the meeting that the land use approval expiration date currently falls on the date the business license expires, and that is the only notice. The commissioners agreed that the land use approval expiration date should continue to fall on the date the relevant business license expires. Another study session followed, examining whether some zoning districts which are very similar in size or development standards should be consolidated. Notably, the rural living 2.5-acre RL zoning was compared to the residential family 2.5-acre minimum RS-E zoning, as they are very similar in most ways. It was soon noted, however, that the color coding used on the maps was confusing and needed to be amended. Vice Chair Alex Garcia agreed with Commissioner Jim Cruchat that the colors used to illustrate the zoning areas need to be more contrasting. Community Development Director Keith Gardner was asked to address a future meeting with a more concrete plan as to which zones could be consolidated. Vice Chair Alex Garcia.
I agree with Jim on that. If there's a little bit more of a plan for us to look at, and I appreciate you informing us the direction, if that way we can have a better idea. Also with the color coding would be appreciated.
The question of consolidating zoning districts will be further discussed at a future meeting. Reporting for Z107.7 News, I'm Annalise Kuiper.
The Morongo Valley Community Services District Board of Directors holds their regular meeting tonight in Covington Park's multi-purpose room. Here's Gabriel Hart with a look at their agenda.
The MVCSD Board of Directors will consider grant writing and fund development services from K&M Enterprises. Staff will discuss creating an educational fund to send district employees to paramedic school. The audit draft from Smith, Marion & Co. will be reviewed, followed by the mid-year budget review. And finally, because the CSD's longtime legal counsel has resigned, it is recommended the board discuss, review, and approve moving forward with the new attorney. Reporting for Z107.7 News, I'm Gabriel Hart.
The Basin Transit Board of Directors meets in regular session tomorrow. The board will elect board officers for 2026. They will also consider awarding a contract for bus stop renovations and disposing of a 2004 Ford Ranger. The Basin Transit Board of Directors meets in regular session on Thursday at 5 p.m. at their office at 62405 Verbena Road in Joshua Tree. And finally, auditions are opening up this Saturday for Dance Mojave's spring performance. Online news editor Robert Hayden pirouettes in with the info.
The nonprofit dance collective known as Dance Mojave will be holding auditions for their latest production this Saturday, called The Wild Stages. The show will feature dances inspired by the flora and fauna of our desert ecosystem and will be performed with musicians providing live music in an outdoor setting right here in the Morongo Basin. Auditions will be held for both children and adults. Children must be at least 10 years old. You don't need to have any specific performance experience to audition or participate in a Dance Mojave production. The nonprofit focuses on making dance accessible to everybody and has put on 2 desert nutcrackers as well as an outdoor performance titled The Planets last May at the Sky's the Limit Observatory in 29 Palms. Full disclosure, I'm on the board of Dance Mojave. I am not a professional dancer and I participated in The Planets last May, and I can say it was truly an emotional and transformative experience. That sounds like a good time in the desert. You're right. Auditions will be held this Saturday in the Choya Room at the Yucca Valley Community Center beginning at 1 o'clock. We'll have more information on Dance Mojave and a link to sign up for their auditions at this story on our website, Z107.7fm.com. And you can find out more about Dance Mojave at www.dancemojave.com. Reporting for Z107.7 News, I'm Robert Hayden.
That's our local news. Hear local news 7 times a day, 7 days a week at 7, 8, 9, noon, 4, 5, and 6. If you hear about news happening, let us know. Email us at tips@z1077fm.com. Reporting for the Morongo Basin News Leader, the award-winning Z107.7 Local News, I'm News Director Jeff Harmatz.